The war in Gaza continues, and while Israel is focused on fighting its enemies, criticism from its allies is growing. Despite close ties with the US, internationally, Israel is increasingly isolated. But a quiet source of support is continuing, mainly unfazed by the mess in the Middle East, coming from Israel's close partners in Africa. In some cases, the relationship is even growing stronger. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar met with his Ethiopian counterpart. The two leaders vowed to deepen security and economic ties with the focus on fighting terrorism.
Terrorism is a threat both to Israel and Ethiopia. Continued and strengthened cooperation in this sector is very important to counter terrorism.
The two also launched a first-of-its-kind joint business forum for Israel and Ethiopia, which is the only African country to have kept its airlines actively flying throughout the war. The ties between the two countries trace back 3,000 years, and today, cultural, economic, educational, and security ties are only growing. In that same week, Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister, Sharon Haskell, arrived in Gabon, where she met with senior officials in the Gabonese government, including the Prime Minister. Malawi announced the opening of its embassy in Israel in April of last year, with support for Israel going viral on social media. These are just some of the most recent examples, but Israel has developed relations with various African countries for decades, almost since the very establishment of the State of Israel, and it now has open diplomatic relations with 46 of the continent's 54 nations. And while most African countries do not typically vote in favor of Israel in international forums, not a single one has cut ties with Israel over the war in Gaza. Instead, they've often adopted a vague or neutral stance, opening the door for more cooperation.
Israel's relationship with the African countries has, varied. There have been ups and downs throughout the years. There have been kind of these honeymoon periods in the 60s, led by Golda Meir's vision of to create a partnership. Yes, there's been challenging times with South Africa, but other than that, not very serious crisis.
The biggest step against Israel has been taken by South Africa, which has dragged Israel to the International Court of Justice, accusing it of genocide and war crimes in Gaza. Israel has denounced the action as anti-Semitism and support for Hamas. But not even they cut ties with Israel.
Most African countries are interested in staying out of conflicts that are not directly relevant to their own policies, their own business, and they are trying to focus on, the economic development and pursuing their own interests.
And cooperation with Israel is on that list for many, on trade, agriculture, education, and innovation, and of course, on security.
Israel needs friends. We see the boycott movement, we see the attempts to exclude Israel. And in Africa, Israel can find many friends. Many Africans have some kind of a pro-Israel, or at least not anti-Israel sentiments, both politicians, but also a lot of ordinary Africans. It may be connected to religious beliefs, especially Christians, but not only, to sympathies between societies that face terrorism. Africa, we tend to forget it, but most terrorist attacks, activities in the world in the last few years, not only this year, the last few years have been constantly in Africa. Okay, they happen in Africa, not in Israel, not in Syria, not in Iraq or Pakistan, but in sub-Saharan Africa, especially in the Sahel. Right, so African countries know what terrorism is, and they feel some kind of sympathy, or at least it's kind of a common language that Israel can work on with African countries.
Last year, the African Union Counterterrorism Center recorded over 3,400 terrorist attacks throughout the continent, with nearly 14,000 people killed. Israel has tech, experience, and know-how to pass on, something Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar highlighted at his meeting with his Ethiopian counterpart.
Terrorism is a common threat to our nations. Your fight against Al-Shabaab, and it's critical. It threatens the stability of the Horn of Africa and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. Al-Shabaab collaborates with the Iran-backed Houthis. The Houthis launched hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel since October 7. They are a threat to Israel, Africa, and the international community.
The fight against terror, bringing Israel closer to the African continent.